Hello, everyone. I'm back. I was going to do the Lord's Prayer, but because I have these, whatever, on Mondays, it seems I'm always saying something that sounds controversial or something, but I got eye drops in. So I was going to go over the Lord's Prayer, but then uh, I had a hiccup, and that is the part, and forgive me my trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against me. Now, another thing I realized inadvertently, or that I realized, is that a lot of us who are good prayers are inadvertently praying the Lord's Prayer. I also have, said before that hallow in another video, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't bother trying to look it up. I assumed it was praise or thanksgiving, right? And how I'm saying it's out of order. We need to praise him first. And I mean, King David, I think, does both. He'll start off with praise. Sometimes he starts off with complaints, but he always ends with praise, usually to a degree. So also in the Lord's Prayer, it's not beginning with thanks. And then the second part, it is beginning, or then it's still not even about thanks. Okay, and then it made me think of the verse, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and I will open unto you. The first thing out of those three is ask. Okay, that's the first thing, is ask. Gimme, 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 right? So it literally means keep asking, keep seeking, keep knocking. So I don't remember what is around all of that, but I know we all know that verse, ask and seek and you will find, knock and I will answer. Now, maybe it's about salvation. Maybe there's another verse that's similar to that, talking about something else. I don't know. Y'all can look it up. We all need to read our Bible anyway. So this is why I don't pull out my Bible half the time. Well, because even in other videos, when people say, let's start out with prayer and then let's read the Bible. And I'm always kind of like, oh, please, I'll read my own Bible and my own prayers. Just tell me what you want to tell me. Anyway, sorry. So I had a little glitch, a little hiccup in this Lord's Prayer yesterday. The forgive me part. And when I was, and I'm still not smooth at it, okay? But yeah, I want to apologize. If I was ranting about we should thank him first, I understand we can't all jump out of bed and be, thankful and grateful and bless his name, bless him. And with me, I mean, as soon as I get up out of bed, my animals are like, psh. So it's gimme, gimme, gimme with my animals as soon as I get up. So it's kind of hard, And so I'm sorry. That was wrong. It is not, blessed be your name at the very beginning of the Lord's Prayer. But when we are saying all of his names, healer, daddy victory, daddy shepherd, daddy peace, I notice there isn't a daddy love, but his name Jehovah means the redeeming, covenant keeping God. It didn't say the God of love or something like that. So we also know he is Jehovah love, something probably. And we know it's probably agape love or whatever that love is that is purest. So the forgive me of my trespasses, I'm like, Lord, you made me the way I'm not really a grudge holder. I can forgive somebody. You taught me how. I share that in another video. You taught me how that's easiest for me. And how I can love them in spite, and forgive them. And the praying part is still a little hard, but I said in another video how I can, think of other things, and then I could maybe, anyway. So I said, Lord, I can't really, and then I'll say, forgive me if I've offended anybody. Point it out to me, because we can all offend people, right? And I'm sorry, I'm sure I have. I'm positive I have. So, but what came to my mind, maybe it was him, but he also knows me. He knows how I think. And I'm like, you know what, Lord, there's Hamas. There are traffickers. There are cold-blooded people, M-worders. There's been a lot of abortion. And even before all of this chaos going on in the world today, 2020 and everything, I have asked God about this abortion thing in 1973, right? And because he didn't, we have free will. So but he knows everything. Just like he knew Adam and Eve would sin. It's almost like he knew we would sin, and we would allow that into America. We would allow. Now, if anybody has a better thought on this, I don't know, but this is how I was mulling it over with the Lord years ago. And he knew we would sin this way. And if that's how it is, then he knew the babies that would be taken and never have a chance. He knew that mother would do that. And I myself am one. I should be serving consecutive life sentences. Okay? But because man's law here doesn't, it's legal. So this is why Bible tells us to obey man's laws. But only if man's laws are only the ones that are biblical. See, even some legalistic Christians, they won't pay taxes. But Jesus told them to pay taxes. Well, we don't obey the man's laws that are against God's laws. But I kind of consoled myself with that, and I tried to make myself believe that it wasn't an embryo, right? So I was trying to, I'm like, so I'm talking this over years ago about this. And then, so he knew which mothers, some were forced. So he knew which mothers would be doing this. He knew their free will. He knew, and these are non-Christians and Christians that are doing this, probably have done this. So if that's the case, then God knew which babies would be coming back to him. All right. I'll just keep going because I don't remember where I was. So with this forgive me, there are people that are, I thought I had it together. I'm sorry. When Hamas did what they did on October 7th, 23, there were a lot of Palestinians, and they don't say this in the news, but on the Israeli news, and they don't say it a lot there either. But there was a high percentage of Palestinians. Wasn't mostly Hamas. And I understand there are some Palestinian Christians there. And God help them. Because I don't always remember to pray for them. But there were a lot of Palestinians that did all that damage. It wasn't just Hamas. Israel knows the ratio. I don't. But it's a huge ratio of Palestinian civilians. And if people would just put two and two together when they first put out those clips of what Hamas took of them bringing the hostages into Gaza, if they would use their brain, Hamas, the crowds cheering weren't Hamas. The cheering crowds were Palestinians. And then the Palestinians are taught, and they know their children are taught in their schools to hate Jews, and that they need to be killed and everything, and that they're dogs and they're pigs. And then it's hard to forgive. And I'll share a video from a channel called The Catcher in the Rye. And I've seen videos like this before, but this is a video of an example of how they train their children. They're so happy. This is the hill they're going to die on. So, like abortion, it's almost like God knew we would sin and we would allow that. It's like God knew that this would be this way with Palestinians, Arabs. We'll just call them Palestinians, but we know they're not. And they're basically a pawn anyway. They're just a pawn. There are certain Arabs that are like a pawn to the greater view. What is that? The greater, not the greater good, but the greater view of what these crazy Muslims are wanting to do, right? Then we have child trafficking, right? All those perpetrators. We have pimps. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for blowing my nose in your ear. So I was like, God, forgive me. And it's hard for me to forgive. It's hard for me to forgive. And then we want to feed them and water them and give them electricity. And they don't even care about their own pawns, the Palestinians. They want to die, whether they're brainwashed or not. The children want to die, whether they're brainwashed or not, okay? And and then these traffickers, I've said before how God takes in innumerable innumerable variables. There's going to be a lot of people that get raptured that we're going to be, not that we're going to care by then, but a lot of people in heaven that we will, and a lot of people not. Because, and don't think I'm judging here. I'm not talking like that. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is I'm trying to forgive here. All right. I'm trying to forgive. That's all. And he's going to take into account, even in America, even in France and Europe, all these cities, Western countries that are not third world countries where we have all the bells and whistles. See, we have it all. You go to somewhere rural in Africa where they don't have all this, they're not tempted in those ways. Now they have the voodoo and stuff, but anyway, God takes into account how he made us, what we were born into, then the tests and trials he gives us in relation to our personality, in relation to our upbringing, in relation to our environment, and in all these, he knows which ones will fail, just like he knew Adam and Eve would fail. He knows which ones will pass. He also gives us all many chances to come to him. And so I don't know if I said it on a video before, because I erased maybe one or two because I bunny trailed too much. But I've asked God over the years, why did you allow Catholicism to go on so long? Muslim, these other religions, I mean, Catholicism is big. It's been around. Why do you... So, and then how we know it's bad. There's just 100% it's wrong. But, big but. Huge, huge but. And this is where I might get into another subject, was I know that we all have a different capacity of love, and God is going to understand that. He takes in innumerable variables. So you've got some Catholics sitting in there, and they need that, and they do love the Lord with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength. They're not really following the Pope. They're just trying to get by in a day, serving the Lord, right? And also because I was, watching It's a Miracle, and I'll share that video. And it's probably not the first video like that, with a Catholic in it and a Catholic priest. And so I, again, I'm like, I mean, I know the enemy can mimic. I mean, I've talked to those, what are they? I forget which one. I think they were Mormon, not Jehovah's Witness. It was the ones with the white shirts and black ties on bicycles. I think that's Mormon. They were telling me of some miracles that happened to them. Now, I do understand that the devil can mimic. And even when they left that day, I'm like, God, I didn't know this. I mean, I knew it, but I probably didn't put it together. And so I opened my Bible. I'm like, God, what is this? And I don't remember what verse it was, but it was so specific. And it wasn't even about the mimicking part, but it was so specific to that religion that it was wrong. And because, like I said, I've always asked God, why are you allowing these religions? So then this, I don't think this was, though, this Catholic video on the miracles with that guy, but the Mormons for sure. Well, I don't know, because God's always giving us a chance, right? So see, these things are kind of confusing to me. And then I understand that, I know I went into some about capacity of love. I might come back to that if whatever I was talking about, but so if it's mimicking or not, we don't know. But all I know is, in that miracle, that man was a father, an earthly father that loved deeply. He drank deeply from that cup of love. And there are a lot of fathers out there that don't love in the way other fathers love. So this guy lost two of his children at two separate times. They were full grown, kind of. One was a 7-year-old and one was 18 or something. So This guy loved deeply. It sent him over the edge, okay? But then this chain of events, right? And then it was a Catholic priest, and they're from New York anyway. So a lot of these New Yorkers are Catholics. My stepdad was from Buffalo, and he was a Catholic. And whenever my mother and I would try to go over with him about this, he'd always say, "I'm covered. I'm covered." And he was an alcoholic. He was a Budweiser. Somebody's got to support the Clydesdales. For you older people that know about those commercials with the Clydesdales. Uh, he drank like a fish and smoked like a chimney. He was not really a practicing Catholic, but he was raised that way and grew up that way. His own mother was even into like weird stuff like the Ouija board. So there's like mixture going on. But he would always say, "I'm covered." So he went through his little thing when he was a child. Well, Mommy and I would always say, "All right, Art," because even back then, my own mother knew about the rapture. Let's see, when was that? He died in '06. So we were telling him this stuff like way before the cancer thing in '05. And then um, we said, just don't take the mark of the beast. Just don't take the mark of the beast. When we're gone and, the raptures happen and you're here, don't take the mark of the beast. That's what we would tell him. That's what we would tell him. But my mother didn't live a perfect life, and neither did I. My whole Christian, when I came back in '03, I would fall away. And I haven't said everything, but if sometimes I say things that don't really fit in, that's why. But anyway, because I haven't told you everything. Because there's no time, really, right? So it's a miracle with this Catholic thing. And this forgive those who trespass against me. And when one body part of the body suffers, we all suffer. So these Jews are our brethren. They're the one who started it all. They're the only reason we are grafted in. They are our brothers and sisters. And it's a supernatural love that's unconditional. You can plop me down in the middle of Israel and they're all crowded around me, spitting on me, wanting to beat me up and calling me names. I will love them anyway. I can't say the same thing for a bunch of American heathens or something, but anyway, it's just supernatural. I don't understand why, but I love them no matter what. And so I was also saying about these Western countries with all these bells and whistles, God takes that into account, that we have more coming at us, right? More coming at us. Because I keep talking about, these shows. Na, 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 na. Then I also got convicted about that because I know that when I was in a condition since '03, when I was walking with the Lord and only watching Christian, only listening to, and look, when I grew up, we were poor. We didn't have a TV half the time. I totally never got to watch the Waltons. But we did watch The Little House on the Prairie and the After School Special. Anybody's old enough to remember that, which was wholesome. I remember getting up one time in the middle of the night. My mom was still up and she had Planet of the Apes on once. And she's like hurrying me to bed, didn't want me to see that. She thought it would be scary to me. And then one time I woke up and Quincy was on, that old show of a doctor with murder mystery thing. And she's like, I think I was sitting on the couch because I had just gotten up in the middle of the night and sat down, and she saw me watching it and she was like, get up, and rushed me off. So, I mean, one of my sisters, all my siblings did not raise their kids with the TV at all. But now some of them fallen away. It's not like that's the, be all at all. Where I'm going with this is, my mother didn't raise us specifically to not watch, but only wholesome things. That was just kind of how she was. Because she never took us to church. But from '03 and serving the Lord and starting looking for Jesus' return in '08 because it looked like it. And from then on, looking for Jesus, well, off and on, I would wane, not just about the rapture, but in my strict Christian walk. And this is after God set me free from anxiety. So, yeah, there was a few shows I watched. In fact, I learned how to keep. Now, I didn't watch this show, but as I was clicking around, I came across when the reality shows first started coming out. It was the Kardashians that started those reality shows. And she was married to the tall white basketball player then, and they were showing him on their honeymoon or something in a thingy. And he had finished brushing his teeth, and he got some speckle on the mirror, and she goes, "Ew!" And she got a towel, and she goes, "Why didn't you clean that up or something?" And she got the towel, just whatever the bath towel laying around, and she started wiping it off of the mirror. And I was like, "What? That's so cool. You mean you don't have to go get the paper towels and the Windex and the ps, 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 and then you got to rub and get all the streaks out. And how do you get the streaks out?" And I was like, "What? It's that easy? Really?" Because honestly, the rubbing, the heat caused from the rubbing burns it off, for one thing. Two, the toothpaste, I know it's got some teeth crap in it, but it's still better than nothing. And plus you're rubbing that in. You know, guess what? My mirrors in my bathrooms are never dirty. Never. And I use soft soap, so I never have soap scum on the tubs or anything. Because my mother didn't clean. So I didn't, believe it or not, that is a learned thing. So I never learned how to clean, and it would take me 5 hours just to do a bathroom. Because I was not efficient, and I'm still not. So, but I know how to clean a bathroom mirror every time I brush my teeth or wash my face, whatever I'm doing. I have a washcloth neatly set aside for that mirror. So I wipe down the faucet, and I wipe down the basin, and I wipe down the mirror. And I love it. And I learned that from Kim Kardashian. Yes, I did. And then I clicked around. So I had shows that I kind of would watch, but mostly it was the Daystar back then and TBN. And but then there was a time then I watched The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. I would literally be praying for those people, like, "Oh Lord, I pray." And I mean, it was stupid, but I never got into things like, because I was raised without a TV most of the time because we were poor. I never really, and we didn't go to movies because I was poor, so that's not interesting to me. I'm not interested in TV much. And I'm not interested in movies much. I can't stand to sit still and watch a movie. No way. Even though some of them I will and have. Um, but I'm saying that there was that time where I was in anxiety and I was in the world. Those 5 years. The sixth year, I was not in the world anymore. But I still had it for that whole year. Well, I was listening to Oprah. I'm like, this woman is like awesome. She knows so much. This is freeing, but it was never freeing me. But what she would say, a lot of it would make sense. I'm like, I can't believe women don't stay home just to watch her show every day. They could learn so much. It's some weird thought, whatever, one day. And then, just, you know, okay, this is where the love capacity comes in. And this is where the verse that, what's the verse? Never mind. I'll get back with that. Some eat herbs is another verse. So when people are going through anxiety while they're waiting, and while they're waiting on being set free, waiting for the rapture, they're serving, they want to serve, they have this certain capacity, they're with love, they're bound by, you know, they're trying to get free and the word is setting them free and all this. And maybe they watch some shows like me. Before 2020, I was watching a lot of the TBN, and a lot of those people were setting me free in many ways I didn't understand how God could love me. I was trying as best I could to love him, but I didn't even realize how much he could really even love me. I didn't know that he could really love me really seriously all that much. But those people taught me. Those people taught me. There is a purpose. God can use a donkey. He can use anything. And sure, maybe I got on the wrong path with those people a little while, but God knew I would get off that path because he knew my brain was not even wired that way anyway. But and that brings me to this point too, is he knows our brains. He knows who's wired for what. And some of us watching are wired for news. We like the research. That just really flips our switch. God knows that. And so maybe this is where an apology comes in, because sometimes maybe because the way their brain is wired, and then they have whatever love capacity God has given them. You see these street preachers or these crying. I'll share another video with you. This guy, we're talking about the love of Jesus here. Oh, and the other video I shared from Deep Believer, his name is Rabbi Schneider. I used to watch him on TBN. I think he is Jewish, and he has a testimony, and I've heard it, so that's why he's got the things. So, but he didn't, well, whatever. So he said some poignant profound things about chaos. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to the way your brain is wired. So we got all these members of the body, right? And then we've got all these members that maybe we're beating ourselves up because we're not like that street preacher who's oozing with Jesus' love dripping all over him. And, we know the Bible verses that say that we need to love like that. And we can't, because we're more wired this way or that way. And some of these, oh yeah, that was the verse. All things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. Now, for anxiety, no, you probably shouldn't be watching some of the stuff you used to watch or games or whatever. But if the show is helping you, and I'm not talking about just Christians here, like preachers on the network, those. I'm talking about if they have a show because their love capacity or their love understanding, because I've said before many times, God, I don't like, I want to love you more. I want to love you more. I don't think I love you enough, God. I don't think I love you enough. I don't understand how to love you. So, do you understand what I'm saying? How he gifts us all differently. He knows how our brains are wired. Oh, I wanted to give an example about my sister Dee Dee. She was raising her boys, of course, homeschooling and Christian and all that. Well, then her husband divorced her, and one of her children hadn't graduated high school yet, and he was still in high school. Well, anyway, so while she was raising them, she was a photographer, okay, also, but she was a stay-at-home mom. Well, she got to the point, this is kind of legalism, and this is also in my life. It happened to me too. When I said in another video, I was starting to worship faith. I was starting to worship like songs. That's not true. That's not true. I recant that because I probably had the gift of faith, but I thought, see, the devil tries to even twist your gifts, and like he did my sister as well. So I didn't really need to stand in faith so much anymore for that, thank God. But after the fact, and watching those shows probably, and I was doing faith with other things, maybe I was doing it wrong, maybe I got a clue, maybe that was God's cue to say, he's saying not that way and not like that about that. And it's not like I'm saying I call in this Mercedes. I wasn't doing that kind of crap, okay? But I might have, something got twisted, and he might have been saying something, but the devil came in and he's trying to say you're worshiping faith. Well, my sister was always battling because she loved and adored. she'd buy a camera and read that fat manual, and she loved every minute of it. Um, she was always battling and saying, Lord, I don't want this to be my God. I don't want this to be my God. This is my God. I need to set it down. I need to set it down. No, that was her gift. That was her gift. But because she too, as well, had a low love capacity, like she had a condemning spirit. If your flesh condemns you not, that Bible verse, I don't know the rest of it or the context, but if your flesh condemns you, if your own self is condemning you, which is demonic, then you are condemned because you're doing it to yourself. So she was screwed up. I was screwed up. That's wrong. So she had a gift, a God-given gift. All she needed to do. Oh, so she probably didn't understand God's love either for her. She probably didn't love God. She was probably working toward him, saying, okay, God, I can't love you like I want to love you, so I'm going to just work for you. You know what I mean? And we can fall into that. So she was always trying to put her camera aside and her stuff aside like that. Um, I know I'm bouncing around. I'm so sorry. So then and I'm also gonna, so people's brains are wired. We're all different body parts with different gifts. Okay. Not just gifts of the spirit that we all should have, but we all don't. I don't think, we're striving always. Well, then, or I definitely don't. Then there's also gifts. So, that we are having to bless the body, to bless the world, so our light can shine. Now, if there's people out there whose brains are wired certain ways, and whatever their love capacity is, and whatever innumerable variables God is taking into account, if they are watching some shows that are edifying, like even this It's a Miracle, some legalists may disagree with this show. Some legalists may disagree with Touched by an Angel, with Romy, whatever her name is. You know, even those non-Christian shows that are on television, like Little House on the Prairie or whatever the newer ones are, I don't know if they're kind of wholesome. My point back then that I was, because all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. So if it's cutting into your prayer time, that's a no-no. If it's cutting into, and you're sitting over here thinking, I'm a good Christian, I'm a good person, that's a big red flag. You better shut that TV off. You're like, my little Christian life here is all squared away. I'm good. That's when you need to beware. So if you're like, I'm a good person, well, you're a good person because God made you a good person. And you don't have the propensity to be a homosexual or a murderer or a thief or whatever. But I'm sure if somebody did something bad enough to you, you'd start hating them real bad. And then that's basically murder as well. And I mean, okay, so I'm kind of talking about this television type thing. This is why we've got to always examine ourselves and judge ourselves. And we should want to. Okay, we should want to. We should want to do that. You know? Because there's testimonies, and even in my own life in the past, in my experiences as a child with my grandma, they could be these wholesome, sweet Christian grandmas. Oh, come sit down, let's watch As the World Turns with me, sweetheart. And we don't see anything wrong with that because our grandma did it. And that's an example, because now, if that grandma, maybe, what is that other verse where it says, denying the power thereof, they act godly, but they deny the power. To me, that's kind of like, you're not exercising your power in Jesus Christ, and whatever's coming at you, you just take it, and then you just sit there and pray and just be a good little girl or boy, Christian mom and dad. And, oh, well, we're just, no, you got to not deny the power thereof. There's power in the name. There's power in us. The kingdom is within us, and we're endowed, embodied with Jesus. Blood is running through our veins. Okay. So in our weakness, he is made strong. And yeah, you can be a good little Christian and do all the right things. And God made you to be a sweet, nice little old lady or something, old man. And you're just watching these innocent little soap operas because you're stagnant. I don't know. But if you're a granny or a young whoever, and you're watching shows that are about life, I don't know, ER, whatever that show is, and but you're not doing it because you're bored or you're passing the time or you're got your little Christian thing squared away. I got my prayers done, or I got this done. Now this is just my little guilty pleasure. This is my little enjoyment. No, there's plenty of things to pray about. But now if your mind is wired a certain way and you need that example kind of human interaction, like some people need that. Some people need, their parents didn't teach them. Their parents weren't there. Their parents didn't raise them right. And they might be watching that and they're saying, oh, this is how humans should react, interact, kind of thing. Because you go to church, right? But you're not going home with everybody and seeing how they interact. You might get a glimpse of it on Sundays or Wednesdays. I'm just saying there are times, and I'm sorry if I really poo-pooed on the shows, because like I'm watching It's a Miracle. I love it. And then just this is probably going too long, but another thing I realized is, I guess one was from 1999. Well, that's a long time ago, right? Well, and these shows, the technology isn't like what it is today. But to me, the leaps and bounds we've made with technology and making shows and movies seem so exponential that even our human brain, those creators creating it all, they don't even know how probably to use it to its full capacity. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then remember when music artists would make a bunch of money off their records and CDs, and now they don't make any money anymore because people can download them and stuff. So same thing with movies. They could probably do movies cheaper because it's all technology. I don't know. I'm just saying, look, we need to stay away from Disney, though, for sure. I mean, I know some of it might be innocent, but they're going to put this little creepy invisible stuff across the screen that you don't even know you see it. Certain demonic things that we know for a fact are demonic. Like, as a Christian, I used to watch that Medium show. A medium with Patricia Arquette. And then the other one, Ghost, something about a ghost with that girl that everybody thought was so gorgeous. I mean, I thought she was okay. The two most gorgeous women I think in the world, well, the three. I think Raquel Welch is gorgeous. Pamela Anderson and that other blonde chick singer that was a Christian. She's not famous right now anymore. Jessica Simpson. But anyway, who cares? Who cares about beauty? Darn, I'm rambling, but I am saying that if you're a Christian and you're trying to get unbound, you really need to stay in the Word predominantly, especially if you don't know how to pray or you don't know how to love very well, or you don't understand God's love for you very well. If you still need to watch some shows on television, and I don't know about Netflix and that, I don't know. All I know is because of what they're watching, that it exists really. But um, if it's helping you to understand certain things about, but still, even that, you should just ask God and say, God, help me, lead me. You are Daddy Shepherd. Lead me to understand it. Download it in me. I don't know. Maybe he wants us to suffer through some stuff sometimes, the long way. So this was my hang up in the Lord's Prayer. If anybody understands how it is, that was my thing about the abortion. Was I feel like God said, I knew man would fail. I knew that would pass. I knew all these babies. I knew your babies would be coming home. I knew you would use your free will and X that baby out. And so, same thing with Hamas and these traffickers, because it's a multi-trillion, billion dollar industry. It will never go anywhere. I don't care how many laws, how many cops, how many detectives are out there working on it. They will make sure that there are never enough, number one. And number two, it is way too big for them, and it's way too big for anybody. And the jails aren't big enough to hold them all. And this world is coming to an end. And this is the end prophecy that the world will grow wax worse and worse. The world will wax worse and worse. Okay. So forgive me as I forgive those who trespass against the body of Christ. They're trespassing against the body of Christ. They're trespassing against me and my body, because they're part of my body of Christ. And the children are. Okay? And those perpetrators, see, that are trafficking, there's a child right now getting it. And right now, multiple times a day. They're expendable until they just bleed out or die. And there's one guy, I've seen several documentaries, y'all. There's times where people pay big bucks to watch the child die in midstream. Okay? They pay a lot of money. And some, it's organized. Organized crime, of course, we know that. But we're talking organized for the wealthy. And they already know that the organs will be sold to whomever. And they're also demonic sacrifices. And if we could just remember them for just 1 second a day, lift them up in prayer for 1 second a day. Who cares about our little entertainment and our stupid little problems here in America, the Western world, where we have all this wealth that we have compared ourselves. We're conditioned to comparing. We know nothing about nothing. Suffering. That child knows suffering. That Jewish family that their daughter got her boobs cut off and they were playing with them, throwing them. Yeah. The mother whose daughter got her baby cut out of her belly. The mother and father whose daughter got her baby baked in the oven, right? I mean, God's not doing anything, no. He's not doing anything about it, because the world will grow wax worse and worse. It's about forgiveness, and I don't understand, because if it happened to me, which it has, because the Jews are part of my body, the babies are part of the body, because they will all be raptured, and all babies go to heaven, and everything on earth is heaven sent. Everything. Because it's by God. It's made by God. The question is it going to go back to God? Is it going back to heaven? The children do, yes. The animals do, yes. Because if there's a horsey in heaven and a snake, an asp, And there's going to be my dogs in heaven. Now, when I get there, I probably really won't even care. But he can combine them all into one dog if he wants, and then we'll all be happy, and who cares? We don't ever know. We're never the wiser, right? But however he wants to do it. But for now, he put animals here on this earth to serve a human purpose, and that is to teach us some things. Love, all kinds of stuff. I never spoiled a dog until I acquired a Shih Tzu all those years ago. And then I accidentally spoiled it. But again, I'm going all over the place. But I'm saying God knew about all this. He saw the boil festering. Okay? It's like a boil on your ass. You know it's gonna... Not that I speak from experience, but I've had them on my face, and I've heard about them being down there, but, and this is all from bad birth control. Bad, because I was having premarital sex, and I got on birth control at 21. And so anyway, those boils, they rarely erupt. They just shrink after 3 months and leave a big crater, okay? Well, God knows about all this. And he knows it's festering. And, I mean, I'm sorry that's a yucky example, but it's a yucky thing. But I try... Anyway. So, the Lord's Prayer... I'll just be separate with that because I just was going to tell you, I think we inadvertently do this already. I'm sorry that I'm like, it's praise first. I'm sorry about like television shows, but I'm warning you now. It's a red flag if you think that, well, I'm a good Christian. I've got all my prayers done. I've done. God is the one that made you a good person. That is 1 Corinthians chapter 4 or 2 Corinthians chapter 4 or somewhere in Corinthians, y'all. Why do you boast when you didn't make you that way? You didn't make you who you are. You didn't make you who you are. If you're a good person, it's not because you're a good person. God made you that way so that you can gift out to the world and be his light, hands and feet. And don't be sitting there saying, well, I can watch this show because, and I'm just, this is my hour of guilty pleasure, whatever that term is, y'all. If you're needing a show to help you learn, a secular show that you don't understand how to even give it up, but it's helping you somehow to understand God's love and to be loved by God, and you're still reading your Bible a lot, and you're making your flashcards, and you're meditating, meaning meditate, chew that cud, chew it, masticate, get the saliva juices going, it goes down, then it gets digested, and then it gets nourishes, okay? But it can't nourish you. That's not the number one step. It has to be here first, is the first step. You can't just immediately go to digestion. You can't shove it in your belly button. No. It gets shoved in your mouth, not your belly button. So you chew it so that you can digest it so that it can nourish you. That's just the order it's going to have to be in. You can't expect to sleep on your Bible and then wake up and it's your way of life. You have to be nourished by it. It has to nourish you. And there's a process to it. And I guess I'm mainly talking to these Christians that think they're all that and that you're not. Because God's the one that made you that way, and that's pride. But if you have to watch a show not out of pride, Or even if you're watching a show because all things are lawful, because you're like Paul. Paul says, I can do that. Because maybe your brain is wired with a gift that you're not a pastor, you're not a preacher, you're not a this and that, whatever those gifts are, but you're gifted in your job. You're gifted in your other things, and you're also serving the Lord, and you're also chewing the cud, and you're also living a godly life. And it's just that one show because maybe you have kids and you watch it with them. I don't know. I'm just saying, is let's just keep ourselves um, close to God and not proud. Not proud in the aspect of I'm good enough. You'll never be good enough, even if you think you're good enough. It's not about being good enough or I'm not that bad. I'm not a bad person. I'm not that bad. I'm not that guy over there. I'm not that girl over there. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm not that bad. It's not about that. And it's not about, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not that bad. Okay. No. No. If your heart isn't wanting to fix the fact that you would examine yourself why you want to watch the show. Maybe like that. Why do I want to watch the show? Because does it fulfill your flesh? You feel like you deserve it. What could be some reasons? Oh, I deserve the relaxation. Oh, I deserve this downtime. I deserve this entertainment. This is harmless. This is something I want to do. Okay, that's all flesh. There's zero God in that. And everything we do it all to the glory of God. But now, if all things are lawful for you and you're like, you prayed about it and you literally have prayed about it, the whole thing is just don't be doing it because you didn't even bother praying about it. God, are you fine with me watching this show? Trust me, he will answer you. Now, if he doesn't, maybe it's, and you're truly listening and watching, can be your eyes peeled for signs and your ears peeled for what he might say, and your heart and your mind, Sometimes he'll speak to you like a lightning bolt and he's the farthest thing from your mind at the moment, or that subject, or like you're in the middle of doing your work and all of a sudden, pew. Okay. I would just say, let's do that. We'll examine. And if it's ever because you think that you're a good person and you can decipher and you can keep it under control and all things are lawful, then at least remember, say, thank you, Lord, you made me this way. Thank you that you made me a good person. Thank you that I'm not crazy. Thank you. I'm not a crazy with homosexual tendencies. Yeah, those people, they either brought it on themselves from their own flesh or it was an attack from another flesh that hurt them, literally attacked them. Another human raped them or molested them. And then that produced that. See, so, yeah. All right. I guess I should go now. This is probably really, but, I don't, I don't know how to describe it anyway, or, put it into words or what I'm trying to say, but, and I don't want it to be legalism, and it's not legalism. I just don't know how to put it into words. But if your brain is wired a certain gifted way, don't beat yourself up if you have a gift on the side, a hobby, and like my sister did with a camera, or me with my faith or my worship. And then I stopped listening to worship songs. Part of it wasn't because of that, but it was because I didn't have a stereo or anymore, or um um I don't remember again, but okay. Well, God bless everybody. I love you, and I guess I'll get to the Lord's Prayer. I just kind of, and I'll link the video of It's a Miracle. I'll link the video on the Palestinians, and then I'm going to link another video, a short video. It's not a short, but it's a short video, maybe 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, of this street preacher guy. Oh my goodness. I don't think it's possible for us all to be that kind of a guy, of a Christian, but I'm going to link those 3 videos. And yes, love you. Bye. God bless you.